The listening heart. The heart is not just a simple muscle. It's not a blind pump pushing blood like a soulless machine. It is above all a receiver. It is one of the organs most sensitive to your emotional state and sustained thoughts. The heartbeat is neither fixed nor arbitrary. It is an immediate reflection of your mental tone. Every thought you harbor, every emotion you sustain, every word you repeat affects its rhythm. If you live in fear, your heart records it. If you speak in anger, your heart reflects it. If you dwell in joy, your heart translates it into rhythm. The heart doesn't need to understand your ideas to obey them. It interprets them in its own language and responds with acceleration, contraction, or harmony. That's why it is said the heart understands what the tongue does not speak, because the heart is directly connected to the subconscious, and the subconscious responds to the vibrational content of your words and emotions. Over the years, I've received dozens of letters from people who have managed to control or reverse blood pressure disorders, not with pills, but with focused prayer, rhythmic visualization, and specific affirmations. One of the most remarkable cases was that of Mr. Ray, a 60-year-old retired accountant who had suffered from severe hypertension for over a decade. Doctors had prescribed multiple combinations of drugs with inconsistent result and numerous side effects. Speaking with him, I realized he had internalized a common but devastating belief: my heart is tired of living. That phrase, repeated for years as a complaint or resignation, had been absorbed by his subconscious as an instruction for weariness. I proposed a radically opposite approach. I asked him to begin speaking to his heart as one would speak to a child, with loving authority and firm tenderness. Every night he was to place a hand over his chest, close his eyes, and repeat for 5 minutes: my heart beats in peace. My heart has divine rhythm. I hear the melody of life in its pulse. And thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for your strength. We are well. He was also to visualize a metronome ticking softly and steadily, not facing anything, just contemplating and repeating. After 3 weeks of daily practice, his pressure began to stabilize. After 3 months under medical supervision, he reduced his medication by half. It wasn't magic, it was rhythmic re education. It was conscious reprogramming. The heart wasn't healed by an external power, but by a new instruction that the subconscious faithfully obeyed. By changing the emotional tone of his relationship with life, his heart stopped struggling and began to dance once more in rhythm. The key here is understanding that the heart doesn't just pump blood, it radiates information. According to contemporary research, the electromagnetic field generated by the heart is much stronger than that of the brain. This field expands beyond the body and acts like an antenna, tuning into emotions, thoughts, and states of consciousness. When you think in anger, that field becomes chaotic. When you think in gratitude, it becomes coherent. This coherence is not abstract. It has real effects on blood pressure, organ oxygenation, digestion, and immune system. All of this can be altered favorably or unfavorably depending on the emotional pattern you maintain. And emotional patterns are chosen, cultivated, and directed. That's why visualization, the pulse in a divine metronome, is so effective. Because the rhythm, when seen, felt, and named, imposes order on what was once chaos. If each night you take a few minutes to visualize your heart as an instrument tuned by the music of the universe, something within you begins to soften. Chronic tension decreases. Latent aggressiveness is eased. The entire body begins to follow this new beat. This is not fantasy. It is the science of attention. What you observe with love becomes harmonized. What you ignore becomes rigid. What you fear becomes unregulated. That's why we must return to the heart, not as a romantic symbol, but as an educable organ, a faithful student of thought. A woman suffering from tachycardia once confessed to me that whenever she felt nervous, she would whisper to herself, "There's no solution. I can't take it. I'm going to break." Without realizing it, she was hypnotizing her system with collapsed commands. The subconscious accepted them without question and acted accordingly. I suggested she transform that inner dialogue. Each time she felt pressure or fear, she was to place her hand on her chest and say, "I am safe. God is within me. Each beat is love. All is resolved in peace." At first, she said it through tears, but she persisted. After a few weeks, the episodes diminished. Most revealing of all, she began to trust her own heart like never before. "Now I feel it protects me," she said, and it wasn't a mystical thought. It was a physiological description of a heart that had ceased to be a victim and had become an ally. The most common mistake is to consider the heart a slave to genetics or fate. But the heart is a moldable, not in its physical shape, but in its vibrational function. You can teach it to beat with serenity. You can teach it not to react to outside noise. You can teach it to receive joy as medicine. Each time you hear your heart beat, instead of fearing it, bless it. Each time you feel its acceleration, instead of resisting, speak to it. Say, "I'm with you. We go together. All is well." Breath, flow, let go. The heart doesn't need many words. It only needs sincerity, consistency, and direction. If you give it these, it will respond. Visualize your pulse right now. Close your eyes if you can and observe it from within, not as a biological accident, but as a sacred drum, marching your soul's steps upon the earth, or marking your soul's steps upon the earth. Each heartbeat is an affirmation of existence. Each pulse a silent proclamation. I am alive. I am here. I am loving. Make this image your nightly habit. Replace news, fear, and tension with 5 minutes of inner listening. The heart that listens responds. The heart that is loved aligns. The heart that is guided heals. And if you ever doubt its power, remember it was the first organ to form in the womb. It was the first to beat. Before your mind could think, your heart already what it wanted to knew it wanted to live. And that desire is still there waiting for your instruction. Speak to it, think it, train it, it will listen. Thank you.